Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We got a big crew today. We got almost the whole gang.
Yeah, minus Erica. It's always fun. I like these group episodes.
Yeah. So this is our 2024 mid-year expense review, which we started doing last year. It's been a whole year, right?
Yeah, I think this is our third one.
Yeah, that's right. We did a mid-year, annual, and then mid-year now.
Yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes to those because we get a lot of feedback that people love listening to how much money we all spent. It's just interesting to hear what other people are spending and, you know, what exactly they're spending it on. So in past episodes where we've done this, we have spent a good bit of time talking about why expense tracking is important to us. We're going to cut right past that. It's important to us. If you want to go back and hear why it's important to us, you can listen to episode 14 where we did our mid-year expense review last year, or you could go listen to another episode. Don't remember that number, but it was at the end of 2023 with how much we spent all of last year. So we're going to get past that and just jump in, but it is worth saying how we do it. Because in those episodes we talked about, like, we all had different methods for doing it, but now not even really
our powers have combined.
This is like when when you all live together and like your periods get in sync, which Greg recently told me is an urban legend.
I didn't say that.
I thought you're the one that told me that.
No, that was someone else. Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
What's funny is I thought it was you because it was like a man that told me that. And I was like, you really want to have this conversation with me right now?
Yeah, it wasn't us, I think.
Oh. Anyways.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't me.
Okay.
I would not say that. I don't want to know that much about it, honestly.
It's kind of like, it's like when you're at a stoplight and all of a sudden everyone's blinkers are blinking at the same time for a second. It's like that kind of beautiful synchronicity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So something in the universe has brought us all, like a butterfly, to a tool called Monarch. And so we're all using Monarch. Greg kind of, I think, was like excited to use it at first and found it. And then we all started jumping on the bandwagon. And I think, like, what's everyone's view of it? You know, we've all been using it for 6 months now. Like, how's everyone feeling about it?
I think it definitely works well. My accounts are syncing well. I've only had a couple issues with account disconnects, but those are more the actual provider, not Monarch's issue. But yeah, I think the only thing I have not played a ton of time on is the budgeting. But in terms of like transactions, categorization, and rules, it works great, which is what I primarily use it for. And then the export is really easy as well.
I love it. It feels like Mint and YNAB had like a baby with all of the best features of both, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's great because, Liz, I know you were a very strong proponent of YNAB for a long time. So I'm glad to hear that it's been a good transition, that you aren't feeling like we dragged you to a tool that's not living up to all the promises we made.
No, there was one thing I loved about YNAB, and it was how, it was how you kind of approve transactions one by one. They come into an inbox, and then I didn't think Monarch did that. And one of you mentioned it when you did a review episode, and so that was the final straw in a good way.
Well, it's like there's a creative workaround, right, of how to do that in Monarch.
No, now they actually have they have a switch that it's a toggle that makes everything nice. In the review queue, which is nice. Yeah. Cool.
So we're big fans of Monarch. We'll put some referral links in the show notes if people are interested in trying out Monarch. They do 30-day free trials. They've got a 50% off promo right now for the first year, but it's to me, it's money well spent. Greg does most of the work, but I think it's great. It seems like a great tool. If you're happy, I'm happy.
And the couple times I've had little things, I've sent something into customer service and I've gotten an email within a day. So they're responsive, which is nice too. So
yeah, it's actually being managed versus
Mint
was like out on Just
It was just the cash cow that was out,
yeah.
slowly dying in the
Yeah.
pasture. But
No, I didn't have any product managers working on it. So it's nice. Monarch is like an active company and team and you can feel it. Okay. So we're going to share our numbers in a minute and get into what we all spent, our top categories, how we feel about it. I don't like to go into like too many nuances. I think it's worth just noting this is directionally comparable. There's always some nuances, and we're sharing this for fun. So this isn't like some sort of scientific apples to apples on everything. Like I was thinking earlier today, Greg, I was like, oh yeah, we pay, like you'll see in our medical expenses the cost of medical insurance. You won't see it in Andrew and Liz's because that comes out of their paycheck and it's not being like quote tracked as an expense. And another example is Andrew and myself and Greg have our mortgages paid off. Liz has a mortgage payment. And so I think like Liz, you pull your mortgage payment out of that. So it is a little bit more apples to apples, if you will.
Right.
But always some nuances in these.
Yeah. And then related, that means because I pull my mortgage payment out, I am lazy and I do not put my property taxes back in because they're in my mortgage and you do include again. So it's just a little.
So let's jump in. Liz, you want to go first?
Sure. All right. Drum roll. Okay, so our expenses for the first half of the year, not including the mortgage, was $54,000, which is about $9,000 a month. But Andrew in the past has told me I can use, what are they called? Adjusted results.
Correct.
So we paid off our car that we bought last year, and then we also sold our used car. And if you take like the net, if you just kind of like minus both of those out, then our total was only $45,000 for 6 months, which is way lower than my last two. So it's exciting.
That's super impressive. And by the way, that is taking your car out is definitely approved inside out money accounting. So you can definitely do that.
That sounds like, yeah.
And but it's still silly. I'm like, oh, that's still $7,500 a month. And that doesn't even include our mortgage. But
okay. So let's call yours. For as much as I was excited that like you've been the highest spender for a while, Liz.
Yeah, I'm always the winner for the most spent.
Yeah, I think this time you might not be the winner with either of those numbers, even with your property taxes thrown back in.
I don't even know. My days have been very full, and I have not even scrolled down in this document to see yours and Andrew's spending. It's actually going to be a surprise for me when we get there.
Okay, well, our crew's been a little loose lately, so. Okay, Andrew, where are you at?
For the first half, I was at $40,418.
Okay, so Liz is winning right now. By the way, we're just kidding because really there's no winners and losers. And I love Liz. You always say this. You're like, there's no winners or losers in like any of this. We're just kidding. And I'm honestly not sure if you're the winner or loser if you're higher or lower anyways. I mean, arguably, Andrew's
I'm the loser.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say you're the winner, Andrew. You got the lowest spend. Good for you.
Yeah, I think most listeners would assume like spending the least is a winner, and I'm mostly tongue in cheek when I'm like, I win, I spent the most.
Yeah,
that's the goal, right? Although Andrew, we'll talk about this more, but that's an increase from last time, and I think that means that you're winning because you are loosening.
There's a couple big ones in there that throw it off.
Yeah, yeah.
But I am trying to become the winner at some point.
But you are trying to loosen a little, right?
I am.
We're influencing you, and again, whether you perceive it as positive or negative is up to you to decide. But you, listener, I mean. Okay, well, back to the winners over here. Greg, what did we spend? And just to remind people, this is the first half of the year. So this is May to June, 6 months.
January to June, you mean?
What did I say? May to June?
January to June.
January to June. It'd be less than. January to June. Thank you.
So we are at 58,554, a 21% increase over last year to date.
Congratulations.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
We're going big.
Yeah. Go big or go home. Okay. Should we so let's just recap it. Liz, you're at, let's call it 45.
Yep.
Andrew, you're at 40. We're at 58. And let's break down like what went into that. Because it's hard. Those numbers are to me like super non-meaningful without the context of what went into it. Because
that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
It's in the detail. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun to think if you doubled it, right? Okay. So if like that would be really impressive for us if we only spent $90,000 outside of our mortgage for the year. And our usual caveat, like very grateful, lots of privilege, like Some people will think that's really low. Some people will think that's really high. And we're just sharing our own perspective. But should we go through kind of our biggest spending categories?
Yeah. Yeah, Liz,
Yeah,
you
I
go
think
through
so.
the
Yeah, Liz, why don't
highlights
you go
and
first?
Okay, I'll jump in. This will come as zero surprise to anyone who follows me on Instagram because it's all I've talked about lately. But our highest expense outside of our mortgage was medical spending. We have spent $7,450 for the year, which averages out to about $1,250. We both had our things going on, but my partner had spinal surgery 2 weeks ago and is currently back in the hospital for some complications. Doing well, on the upswing, but that is annoying and expensive. And I think every single day for the last couple of weeks, I have thought how happy I am that we have the money to spend on this. And I look around the hospital and I just wonder if other people are like having the same stress that we're having and then also worrying about the bills. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. And I'm hoping since we have hit our deductible and I think we're about to hit our out-of-pocket max, I am very hopeful that that's going to be lower in the second half of the year. So medical was the biggest. Travel was next. We spent $5,400 on travel, which averages to about $900 a month, which I think for that amount, we've done 4 trips. So we did a weekend road trip, a funeral, which was a bummer, but still travel. We did a week in San Diego. And then I went to New York City for a long weekend to go to the Peloton Studios. And that seems pretty good for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I know we'll talk about food, but our next biggest was groceries at $5,025. I have given up on trying to lower this. It's $840 a month on average. I have no regrets. I highly enjoy my pre-cut fruit and artisanal cheese. I say to that group of vegans who only shop at Aldi. But like,
Lidl.
We're swinging over to Lidl now. But we also, it's worth just reminding people that is for 2 people. So it's Liz and her partner versus some of the, when you do yours, it's you and your partner and 2 kids. And then ours is me and Greg and 3 kids that are kind of in and out at different times.
Yep.
And we'll, like you said, Liz, we'll break down food into like subcategories of eating out restaurants and compare those at the end because people are always fascinated by what people are spending on food. So
that is for sure the most fun part. Okay,
I'll stick around for that if you're excited.
Yeah, I'll breeze through the rest of these. House cleaning was $3,100 or about $515 a month. Totally worth it. Last thing, Megan and I did a whole episode about things we would cut from our budget, and this is at the bottom of my list. Utilities was about $2,800. That's $465 a month. That's everything like gas, electric, water, trash, streaming, internet, all the things. Okay, this one really surprised me. Driving was $2,650, which is $440 a month. Allow me to point out 2 things. 1, this does not include a car payment. And 2, it does not include gas because I drive an electric car.
Wow.
What is it then? Like
Insurance.
I guess insurance would be a big chunk.
Yeah, insurance is a big chunk. Insurance is like 2 something, I think. Maintenance. So we had to get new tires. That was $2,000. Parking. I pay a lot of tolls. So wait, that doesn't even include tires. Sorry. No, we had a whole separate line item.
You have a separate line
for tires.
Insurance is probably big.
Yeah, insurance is a big chunk.
Insurance costs have gone up like crazy.
Yeah.
I know. It's bananas.
It's on my goal, by the way, to get everything repriced with Amica. I don't know if that's the way you say it.
Oh my goch,
but it's been on my...
Maggie, you have been saying that you're going to reprice everything with... It's Amica. Since the show was Friends on Fire.
Oh, really? Well, I'm a little behind, but it's on my to-do list.
Breaking news, guys.
I'm waiting for Greg. There was like a ding on our insurance from an accident he was in, and I was waiting for that to roll off because that was like heavily impacting our rates with everybody. And so I was like, I want to see what it is after that. So I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to do it before our next expense review. So I've got 6 months to get my act together.
I love it.
Okay.
You're like, I'm coming back for you, baby.
Amica, I'm going to learn your name and I'm coming back for you.
They would probably prefer you become a customer and like not know how to say their name if they had to choose. But okay, our last couple live performances, we've spent $2,000 so far this year. That's usually front loaded because I think we buy a lot of summer concert tickets in the spring. So we'll probably land around like $3,000 for the year, but we spent $2,000, which is about $330 a month. That's a big priority for me. Vet bills significantly down from last year, but still $1,900 because getting little pet teeth cleaned is very expensive. And then this last one, it's like a little sensitive for me. So charitable giving, we're only at $1,550 for the year. I usually have a much higher goal than that for us annually, but we've been down to a 1-income household for the first half of the year for the most part. And so I'm just holding off. Like, I'm hoping we get back to a 2-income household after all of this medical stuff is over, and then I'll be able to catch up a little bit in the second half of the year. So I'm still trying to keep it up with like smaller amounts just to keep the muscle
strong.
Yeah, Andrew, you're an athlete. Give me a muscle metaphor.
Yeah.
Andrew's not producing one.
Yeah, sorry.
It's been a long day. He rode his bike home from work today, and there's like crazy rain and storms in Atlanta. Yeah. There were like lightning booms earlier, and I was like, wait, you got to ride your bike home?
I know.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Andrew, you're 40,000. Break that down for us.
40K, very in line with our typical spend, right? We were at 80K last year. We've been at 80K for the last 5 years or so. So pretty much in line. There are a couple of big ones. So our biggest expense was home at 15,000. Our home insurance went up significantly to 5K when we bought the house 4 years ago.
You need Amica.
I was just gonna say that.
This podcast is not sponsored by Amica.
I definitely need to reprice the insurance, and I just have not gotten to it. So life's just been.
Do you know what your deductible is?
Yeah, it's as high as it's like $10,000.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we
Well, that's what it should be,
we
but
carry super high deductibles on all the car and the home and all that. But
so like what else is in there?
So 5,000 was insurance. The big one is, this is where home ownership is lots of fun, is we have an older home and we had to have all of our copper pipes replaced.
Ooh.
And so that's a $15,000 expense. So this only includes half of that. So I paid half of it in June. They started it. They did about half the house, and then they're going to finish the other half of the house in August. But
did you do that so you could split the expense for both of your?
No, I did it because of the way their schedule was. But yeah, you think about all the pipes in your house and having to get them replaced. It's a big undertaking. So
yeah, the pipes are behind the walls. That's a lot of...
Yep, lots of holes in our walls right now.
I had ours replaced when we were doing a renovation, and all the walls were torn down. I can't imagine trying to do it in a home you're living in.
Yeah. So that was a big unexpected $15,000 expense that we will have. That 7,000 of that is in here.
How did you know that your pipes needed to be replaced?
We started having pinhole leaks, and they're super common in this area. There's debates about whether it's something to do with the water treatment or there was a bad batch of pipes. Basically, almost every house in our neighborhood and most of the county is having to go through this. Yeah.
Wow.
Oof.
That's so interesting. And then, those home improvements where even like a roof is more exciting than new pipe. Like you don't see the pipes.
Yeah. I love the new PEX pipes that we've got are just beautiful. They're just so awesome. I'm just going to be loving it every single day. I'm going to wake up and say, thank goodness I've got some great PEX pipes now.
Yeah.
Like it would be cool if they did it like the water came out of your faucet like in the shape of a star or something cool. But there's nothing like that with pipes.
You're taking a shower and like glitter comes out.
Oh gosh, that's
the only
miserable, but
the only benefit of this is we got as part of this project, we had him install an automatic shutoff valve that is super cool. So it's got Wi-Fi enabled. It monitors all of your water tracking. It detects when you've got a leak or not. And the funniest thing was Crystal was taking a long shower and it detected that it thought there was a leak. And so we all got text messages saying that you may have a leak. She lost her mind. She was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, if you want to track your water usage, this thing's pretty cool.
I was like, Liz's face when you were talking about how excited you were about that was hilarious.
That is the dorky.
Absolutely. So nerdy. I know, Maggie, you would love it.
We're all dorky about something. We all literally get together to talk about our color-coded spreadsheets of our budget, but like that's a new level.
I would schedule family meetings and be like, guys, we're going to review the monthly shower stats because like one of my kids recently, I was standing outside the shower the other day with who, the one with the longest hair in the house. And I was like, it has been like a solid way more than 10 minutes. I was like, I'm not exactly sure at the time. I should have started a clock, but I was like, it's been a while. I'm like knocking on the door and I'm just like, hey, it's been a while. You wrapping up? So, oh yeah, I'm going to be. And then it was like 5 minutes later. It's like, she's still going in there. Like, what's happening? So that being said, my water bill is only $40 every 2 months. So I really shouldn't complain about it. But But okay, keep going, Andrew.
So-
you got a new Wi-Fi thing. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
so our new Wi-Fi auto shut-off valve. Anyway, so that was the big one. In terms of other things that I would call out, our food, groceries, $6,100. Maggie, you'd wondered whether I was going to go lower as a result of me going vegan.
Why do
The
I see
answer is-
7,400? I totaled that from your thingy. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
wrong?
yeah. So that's just the groceries is 6,200. Then restaurants and bars was 800. Almost all of that is on vacation, so we don't split out our vacation eating out.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we almost never eat out. And then what I call fast food, anything that we're getting for takeout is $400. So also super minimal.
$400 for 6 months, not $400 per month.
No, yeah, that was $400 for 6 months.
Total.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, that would be like a solid monthly goal for me. Okay.
Yeah. And then everything else was in line. Oh, on the travel side, I talked about this last episode. I've been trying to use up more points. And so, although we did our hotel, the Hilton Head, we did pay cash for that. So we didn't use points for it. But I have already booked a trip to Universal for the second half of the year, and I have not paid for that yet, so that'll show up in the second half of the year. But that's a big expense for us that my kids are going to be big fans of.
It's exciting. Do your kids know about it, or is it?
No, it's a surprise. So anybody who's listening, do not tell my kids. It's going to be a surprise. They're super.
I hope your kids don't listen.
they're big Harry Potter fans, and yeah, so that'll be in the second half. And yeah, no other major big call outs.
Okay. But as Greg said, we are at 58,554. Greg does the totaling. Like he'll be doing the final tally, and I kind of roughly know where we were, like, Q1. But even as we were doing, like, I always do prices right. I'm like, wait, don't tell me. I think I guessed like really close to this. I knew we were over last year. I just know from like, the feeling of.
Yeah, you were pretty spot on, I think.
Yeah, I got a weird spidey sense on this. So, Greg, why don't you hit our like top categories and what we spent in them?
Okay, so our biggest expense, I think most years, but this 6 month period in particular, is travel. We are at $22,039 for travel. That does include travel food. So, I mean, if you were to exclude travel food, we would be at 19. But either way, it's a big number, but we don't regret it. I mean, it's a lot of cool trips. We did a weekend away during winter break with the kids, and
like a cabin. Spring break was kind of expensive.
Yeah, spring break, and then Australia is in there as well.
Yeah, so we had 3 weeks in Australia in there.
So what was the total on the Australia trip?
Oh, could you tell me? Well, before I answer that, while you think about it, Greg, I will say when I saw that number, I was like, oh, what did we spend last year? Last year, in the first 6 months, we spent $7,000. So that was a 208% increase.
We also did not take our trip last year until towards the end of the summer.
Yeah.
So
So it hit second half. But last year, total spend for travel was a little bit higher. It was like 22.6 or something. So we're definitely overspending on travel versus what we spent last year. And Andrew, I don't know, Australia, we haven't like broken it out specifically, but what would
a huge
you guess?
chunk of that, I would say
13 to 14 of 15 of that.
Yeah, 15 of that.
Because I mean, that spring break house was expensive. We had, and I this is prepaid for some other trips we have coming up.
Yeah, so 14 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 15K is probably a solid
5K a week. That sounds for 3 weeks.
People,
right?
Yeah.
Am I out of touch, or does that seem reasonable?
Well, we did use miles for a lot of the tickets, so the airline was not a big portion of that. That's mostly
The
Also,
Airbnbs.
the airline hit 2023.
Right. So that's not even
And
in here, but it's
excursions.
Airbnbs. It's a lot of activities.
Yeah.
The activities were very expensive. Like
It's a few thousand. And
the Great Barrier Reef snorkeling was.
every excursion was like over $1,000 for a family, and we did a few of them. So it was like, I mean, we even easily spent $3 or $4 grand on excursions.
Yeah.
I will say I don't regret it. They were amazing experiences.
Yeah, it was great. And more.
Amazing. And again, for 5 people, I mean, over $1,000 each. I mean, that's 200 something each. That's again for the things that you were doing. And by the way, if you don't follow Megan on Instagram, I love this. Is like one of my favorite things when people go on Instagram. When people go on vacation and they just spam their stories with like,
Beautiful
now I'm eating
photos.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Now I'm walking to the store.
Kangaroos.
now I'm on the plane. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I feel like I got to go.
Here's a selfie with a kangaroo.
Yeah, like,
Here's me
like
hugging a
not
koala.
filtered, just like, here's 20 pictures from today, like whatever.
Yeah.
As we were doing it. I love it so much.
Okay, so travel was big.
Travel was
Let's keep
big.
rolling.
Home is the next one at 10,683, and even that is an increase of 80% over last year. But we did have some big kind of one-time expenses in that. We bought a new mattress, which was expensive, but worth it. After spring break, we slept on a really nice mattress, and we were like, we need that for our house, and our backs, I think, are better for
that
it.
was
So
very money well spent. And we got it from Costco. We got a solid deal on it.
We have the same
Yeah, the
mattress.
new mattress,
we got
another
it
piece
last
of
year.
furniture.
Big
Wait,
fans.
what
Yeah, I think I
mattress did you get from Costco?
We got.
I
we
gotta look
both,
up the name.
We both
Stearns
have the
and
Kirkland
Foster.
one. The
Oh.
Kirkland.
It was a Kirkland Stearns and Foster.
Yeah.
It's like through Stearns and Foster, but it's a signature one that they make just for
it's
Costco.
very fancy. Very, very
nice.
fancy.
I mean, honestly, it was only like $1,100 or $1,200,
Yep.
but it was great.
Yeah, we just all have so much in common. My mattress is from Costco too, but it's a Casper. It was only like $800. We're friends.
Let's see. Then food was our next biggest one at 6,200. Again, that does not include travel food. Then, and that's about 15% higher than last year. So we're not completely sure if that's probably just a mix of
inflation.
consumption and inflation.
Yeah, I blame that all on inflation.
Yeah.
Kids expenses at 5,600. That's all of our kids' activities, sports. That's the biggest piece of it. Club volleyball is not inexpensive. Then medical is at 4,366. So that is down 75% from last year. Last year we had braces,
Two braces
and
were in there.
I had
Fire insurance.
something. I think my LASIK was
Yeah,
last
your
year as
LASIK was
well.
last
So
year.
Faces are
All of our
expensive.
faces and braces.
Teeth
Yeah.
and eyes and
So medical is down like 75%. That's so we immediately threw that into travel.
yeah. Auto is at 3,139, so that's up a little bit from last year. That's insurance and new tires, and nothing too terribly exciting. Clothing and shoes, 1,600. That's up 152%.
It's up $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna say most of that's on me.
I was gonna say who's taking responsibility for that?
Yeah, I'll take
Maggie.
it. You notice my new fit? It's because I spent an extra $1,000 this year. Actually, I wear athletic clothes all day. You would never notice anything in that, to be clear.
Yeah.
But just like some new Nikes or something. I mean, like the rest was like life insurance, charity, entertainment, personal care, electronics, and then like miscellaneous.
Yeah, none of those were vastly different than the previous year. Some were a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But
Oh, your medical is a huge drop.
Yeah, I mean that was because of the last year was particularly high.
Yeah.
It was not really the cost of
It was
like
an
medical
anomaly,
through the
right?
Yeah, well, medical through the marketplace is actually quite affordable. So it's more that we had some big expenses that were like the braces. And all that stuff.
But we've got all three of our kids will have had braces by the time it's over. So the third kid is getting their braces later this year. So that'll probably actually pop up a little bit towards the end of the year.
True.
But
what
Also,
happened,
like, look at how straight my teeth are. It's in that price.
what happened with electronics and software?
Oh, what's in there? I don't know, Greg. Double click on that. While he's
TV?
looking that up, no.
Well, it went from what caught my eye is it's up 1,835%.
No, it's $32.
Oh yeah, well, it went from $32 to $626. Greg's going to look it up.
I guess that's
While he's doing that. Interestingly, our top 4 categories are 76% of our spend. So travel, home, food, and kids is the bulk of our spend. Okay, let's answer Liz's question.
So Maggie got
a Kindle.
A Kindle.
How about a nice Kindle?
Oh, nice.
We got an Echo Show in our living room.
That was with our Dell credit, but we still had to pay for a little bit more. What is New Year?
We bought some. I bought some AirTags because I was losing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we both bought new sleep headphones. Which, man, I love my sleep headphones. You can sleep. They're earbuds. You can sleep in. They're really comfortable, and they're real low profile in your ear. And that was like almost $200. They're made by a company called Anchor.
Yeah, Anchor, Soundcore Anchor, and they're great because they, as Maggie said, they switch from whatever you're playing in your phone to white noise once you fall asleep.
It can sense when you've fallen asleep.
And even better, you can set an alarm just for your headphones so you don't wake up
Oh.
your sleeping partner, which is also
Yeah.
really great.
Do
So
you
they're pretty
refer to me as
wonderful.
your sleeping partner?
Well, I just thought some people might refer to their
yeah.
partners as sleeping
Yeah.
you know, I don't know,
Whoever you're
bedmates,
sleeping with.
your
Yeah.
bedmate, your
Yeah.
I
They're
don't know.
amazing, like life-changing. Love them.
Wow.
I should talk. I don't think I've even posted about them on Instagram. I meant to right when we bought. We had to like get in line for
I've
them.
never
too.
heard of these before.
It was like a new model that just came out by the same.
Oh.
He had an old pair, and they like came out with a new one. Anyways, those were like $90 each, and I'm having a lot of sleep issues, which I believe are perimenopausal. And anyways, they're helping.
That's great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Those sound really nice.
So that's what happened to that category, though, Liz, to answer your
I'm
question.
just curious.
Okay, so let's break down food now. Everybody loves hearing what we all spent in food, and we all track it like a little bit different. Like we have our, we put our food when we're traveling into travel because it's just a lot easier.
Same.
And so that's not going to be in this number for us, but Greg pulled it up. It's like another $2,000 for us.
35.
3,500. Oh wow, we ate a lot.
I will say, I mean, watch out in
You
the
ate
second half
well.
of the
You
year.
ate well, Maggie.
I have discovered a new hack on how to save on groceries. You just put the one person in your house who cooks in the hospital, and then the hospital feeds them, and then I just DoorDash every day.
And medical goes up.
but my groceries are like zero for the month.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
Does it feel like a fair trade-off?
no, absolutely.
Okay, so Liz, what was your food breakdown?
Okay, total that we spent on food for the first half of the year was $8,232, which works out to almost $1,400 per month, which is about $686 per person per month. So if I was a single person who lived on my own, I would be spending $686 on food. And that's everything. So that's takeout, booze, coffee shop.
Okay, when you did groceries up top, I just realized that was only the groceries part of the food.
Yeah.
So
Because-
like restaurants, is that in your takeout number?
Remember, she splits takeout.
Oh,
from,
yeah.
like,
Wait, why don't I have...
Here's the restaurant number.
I think that total is right on here, but I think I...
Yeah, your
forgot.
total's right. You're missing one of the line items of restaurants. We'd have to subtract it.
Got it.
Yeah, the total is right, but I just am missing restaurants. I can go grab a few.
It looks like restaurants is 1,000 something based on some quick math.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Under two,
Oh, yeah,
somewhere
under.
between 1,000 and 2,000.
It's like almost 200 monthly. Yeah. Okay, I will run through this quickly. So I think I break mine out the same way that Andrew does. Takeout, $923, which is about $150 a month. Booze and bars is $200 for the first half of the year, which is about $34 a month. I am not as meticulous as Greg, who I understand, like if you go out to eat, will parse out like a glass of wine at a restaurant and put that. I don't do that. I just like
You will?
Yeah.
Oh, forgot. I don't even think I knew. I know I'll take like toiletries out of the Target purchase, but I didn't realize you were taking alcohol.
Thank you, Liz, for remembering all of the hard work that I do when my wife doesn't remember that level of
Generally
detail.
appreciate you. I don't remember all of the details. That's what Liz is here, is to remind me how awesome you are.
I respect the hustle, and also I have like a weirdly good memory, which is why I'm like, Maggie, don't you remember in episode 73 of Friends on
You
Fire?
remembered my Amica.
Do you want
right?
to switch to
Yeah.
Amica?
Yeah. You're tracking my goals that are not progressing.
Right. Okay. I break out coffee shop separately. It was $569, which is about $95 a month. This is like a place I try to spend more. I live really close to a really lovely coffee shop that I think adds a lot of ambiance to my neighborhood. So I try to go there and spend a bit of money. And restaurants, I think, was about $1,000 for the first half of the year, somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 a month. I differentiate restaurants from takeout because restaurants are like going out, sitting down with friends or on a date night. Takeout is like, I'm exhausted. I got Chipotle. I give up on the day.
Yeah.
And in my mind, those two are very, very different.
Yes.
And then,
I love that. I give up.
well, it's not usually like that enjoyable. I mean, sometimes it's enjoyable,
Yeah.
but. And then groceries was $5,000, a little more than $5,000 for the first half of the year, which is about $840 a month. And I like to post little Instagram reels about how much money I spend on groceries and then wait for like people to come along and yell at me about how I'm an idiot because I spend.
And they're like, I feed my family of 17 on $300. You get a lot of responses like that.
Totally.
Like, what
I know.
are you doing? You're an idiot.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
spend less.
They're like, are you stupid?
To be aware, to be clear, as you said earlier, like we are very privileged. We're very thankful. We are able to, you know, afford whatever, but also we're idiots according to some people. So
It's always people I've noticed with cats as their pictures on Instagram who leave like the meanest comments. I think someone should do a study because I think that's a thing. So I don't try to lower my food bill. Like I feel like there was a time in my life I did. And at this point I have decided the juice is not worth the squeeze. One of the joys of my life is going to the grocery store and putting whatever looks good in the cart. And everyone has their thing. Some people like handbags or trips or bikes or cars or whatever. And I like fancy grocery shopping.
yeah, I mean, when you said the juice is not worth the squeeze, I was like, I mean, you're definitely not squeezing your own juice. You're paying for fresh juice by someone else. You know?
No. Yeah.
I can see that here. So, okay.
All right. That's my food.
All right. Next for us, we have it in 4 pretty simple categories: groceries at 6,200, restaurants at 800, fast food / takeout 400, and then coffee shops $37.
$37 for 6 months? How many times did you go to a coffee shop?
Andrew went 0.
I went 0 times.
Before.
I do not
Crystal
pay.
goes like 3 times.
I do not pay for coffee myself. I will drink coffee if someone else is paying for it. And I pretty much only drink coffee when I'm jet lagged from international travel. So I don't drink it on a regular basis. Crystal is the coffee drinker. She makes coffee at home 99% of the time. And then she will go to Dunkin' on a rare occasion. So that is her, you know, probably once or twice a month going to Dunkin' for $37 for 6 months. Yes.
I feel like a coffee shop is like my target. Like I walk in and I cannot walk out without spending $40. I'm like, I want a latte and a burrito and like a croissant and a t-shirt.
Nice.
Oh my God, that sounds like me. The t-shirt part. Okay. Okay, Greg, where were we at?
So our total for food was $62.55. 3,500 of that was groceries, and that was up a little bit from last year, about 10%, but pretty on par.
Yeah.
And then restaurants was $2,592, which was up about $480 from last year. And I think some of that might be inflation, but I think we did get on a kick this year where we did start eating out more. Some of it, I think, was saying, let's be a little more accommodating when the kids say, oh, can we go to Starbucks and get a drink? I think we did.
The kids got a lot of Starbucks treats this year. They did not spend $37 at Dunkin' like your wife. Andrew.
Yeah. And I think that was somewhat of an intentional thing. We were like, you know, we could loosen up a little bit on some things like that. But then
they're very happy when you get them like a drink at Starbucks.
That's their love language.
It is their love language. Or like we go to this place called Tea Leaf Creamery and they have these like bubble tea smoothie things. They love it. And it's like quality time. I mean, I have like memories of like our trips to Tea Leaf Creamery.
Yeah. And we only go there when I get they text me a 50% off one drink or something like that.
Yeah. It turns the bill from $50 to $45.
Yeah.
Every time they text Greg, he's like, he's in, and I'm like, Greg, that's marketing. I'm like, they're sucker. They know it's been like on a 3-week cycle. If you send him a coupon, he's like, let's go to Tea Leaf.
Yeah, but I'm like, I saved $5.
Yeah.
So, but we also did get a little loose just on our own. We started eating out a little bit more. You doing more takeout and stuff, and I think we've kind of corrected that a little bit. And then lastly, alcohol in bars was $119. That was pretty much on par from last year. And then, as we mentioned, also travel food was not in there. So our travel food was $3,423. So that was probably higher than prior years, but I think some of it is
I'm just looking at your sheet, Greg. Of that 3,400, 2,900 of that was in Australia because I can see it in the month.
Yeah.
And we typically do a lot of grocery shopping when we're traveling and like eating in our Airbnbs. In Australia, for a couple of reasons, we ate out a lot and you could see it in that price, but it was good and we had a good time and the kids really enjoyed it. But one of the reasons is groceries in Australia were very expensive. And so I was going to like an Aldi and I was looking at the prices and I was like, we could eat out for a similar price. So
Yeah, they were expensive. And then our trip wasn't all by car. We were flying. So it wasn't like we could just stock up on some stuff and kind of
Move it
carry it with us throughout the
Yeah.
whole trip. So there was a couple reasons we went more to restaurant versus groceries. But yeah, that was
That was a
2,800
wild
of that 3,400 is all in Australia. So it was 3 weeks. So it was it was a
Yeah.
long trip. And
I loved Australia, but I will say things were incredibly, food in particular felt very expensive there.
it did more so than Europe the last couple of years. I thought it was.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree.
pricey.
Do they have to import a lot of food? Like,
I
are
think
things-
produce wise, yeah, that's why produce is expensive. It's like a supply and demand.
Well,
issue
it was
from-
winter there too.
Mhm.
So, I think just like in the US, when it's harvest season there, it's probably cheaper, but in the winter, a lot of their fruits and vegetables are being imported. So it was definitely pricey.
I at one point we were like, the kids love strawberries, and we like typically buy them a lot. We would go into a place and it'd be like $9 for this like
Whoa.
flat pack of strawberries. And I did the math at one point, and I was like, that's a 73-cent strawberry. Each one you put in your mouth is just. And I was like, I like feeding myself fruit. which
Love
is
that
we
Maggie
were
calculated
having
that.
brunch with a friend who's from Australia, and Maggie just kind of says, I need to talk about these strawberries and why they're so expensive. Why are you? And he goes, it's winter here. That's why. And Maggie's like, oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
so
that
I
makes
was like,
sense.
I'm the dumbass. Like I should just not be buying strawberries here.
Right.
But I just was like, I
Yeah,
want some strawberries.
I don't know what I don't know that much about Australia, like what the climate is like. Like even if there is a place you can grow them there, if they have to be brought in.
I think
don't
there is. Yeah, I
'cause
think
we
that's
went to that farm, and they're like,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of farming area in
Oh, okay,
Australia,
cool.
but they definitely have change of season. I mean, it's
even the
their winter
in-season
is.
produce was expensive. It not as expensive,
Yeah.
but it was just food was expensive.
Yeah,
That
it
what
was.
meant.
It was pricey.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize till just now that we spent that much money on food there.
It's a lot. I mean, okay, so some of the mean people who like to come in my comments and yell at me about how I'm an idiot because I don't know how to buy groceries. I will often get people who are like, I live in like a super high cost of living area. Like I live in California and I spend half as much as you. And I was curious because I was following someone else and they posted, they were like, oh, I live in California. I live in this highly expensive area. And I just went to the grocery store and I bought all this for $150. And I was like, there's no way. And I did some comparison shopping. I like pulled up Instacart and I actually like looked at a couple different cities and I was like, yeah, groceries in the middle of the country are more expensive in the US than if you live in California. That's like maybe one of the things you get a break on if you live in California because all the produce is grown right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as expensive.
Oh
Yeah,
interesting.
that is really interesting, actually.
Okay, why don't we all hit a little bit of just reflections? Like, how do you feel about this, and like, what are you striving for in the second half of 2024? Liz, we'll start with you.
Okay. A couple of things I noticed. One, I was really stoked when I was looking in Monarch, which again, plug for Monarch. They don't pay us, but I like it and their reporting is really good. After our mortgage, our investing was our biggest spending category. And that didn't even include like what we were putting into our 401k, but just what we were putting in our taxable brokerage, like IRAs.
That's awesome.
I was surprised by that. That was an insight I didn't have, which was exciting. I also looked, I'm trying to spend less money at Amazon. I have like a complicated relationship with Amazon, pros and cons, but I am trying to just be mindful and not go to Amazon first and try to like divert some of that spending to other retailers. And I spent about $1,300 in the first 6 months of this year. And then I had spent $2,300 over the last 6 months of last year. So I cut it down by about $1,000 and I was pretty proud of that.
Are you trying to move it all to Temu?
No.
I think that's what you meant, right? You're intentionally wanting to.
I've never bought
get
tickets
more-
to Temu.
It's Temu, Greg. I'm
Oh,
just kidding. I don't
okay.
know.
Oh, how do you even say it? I don't know.
I was just
I don't
joking.
even
I don't
know.
know. I was making a Mika joke.
I figured you probably meant local retailers. So I'm obviously kidding, but
So, I mean, I will be honest. Sometimes it's local retailer. I would love when I can figure something out at my local hardware store versus Amazon. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I just went to Target and got it instead. And that still feels like I'm just spreading my dollars around and not thinking of Amazon as a default. I want my local Target to stay open too. But yeah, I've just been trying to get other places or shopping secondhand. Maggie and I just did a great episode. I thought it was great about shopping secondhand.
It was great. It was great.
It was the best episode ever.
It was the best we've ever done.
Yeah.
You're the best co-host. It was the best.
So I was
And
proud of
was
those two metrics. And then overall, I don't know, it just felt like kind of the spending actually felt very normal. Our income has felt like totally bananas. I mentioned we've been a one income household. My partner has received 2 severance payments. That's a whole nother long story in the first half of the year. So our income has just been really unpredictable, but I felt good to have some normalcy in the budget in a year that has not felt that normal. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, how are you feeling?
I'm going to piggyback off of that Amazon comment because I also have a complicated relationship with Amazon. I did not renew our Prime membership at the beginning of the year. I
remember you saying that. I was concerned for you.
Yeah. Yep. And we made it through January and February, and Crystal was about to lose her mind, basically. And because she ends up just getting things off of Amazon for the kids or a school activity or something that's like, just you need that immediateness.
They'll deliver it tomorrow morning from 7 to 11 a.m. if I order something right now.
Correct. Yes.
And the amount of kids that pop up with an assignment and they're like, I need,
or like she, for her cake supplies, for the cake baking that she does, like, so I could definitely go without Amazon Prime. Like I could definitely go without it. And for the sake of my marriage, I renewed it in March. I was like, okay.
Does it not give you the like Prime shipping? Because I also canceled my Amazon Prime a year ago, and I feel like it still just gives me like, oh, do you want us to bring this in 2 hours? And I'm like, yes, please.
It does, but you have to hit the minimum threshold, and it won't always give you the same day. It will kind of default to the 2 days, and not every single item qualifies. So it definitely knocks you down a couple levels. But for me, what was super interesting about it was when we stopped having Amazon Prime, our spend on Amazon went down dramatically. And so there's a reason why Amazon pushes it so much, right? But it was fascinating just to see.
Go up? Like, did you notice, like, oh, you're spending more?
Yeah, we probably, I mean, I didn't look at it. Probably maybe the Target spend went up a little bit. But yeah, so I always have a goal of, trying to just spend less on Amazon. We spent $1,500 in the first half versus $2,000 total for last year. So not great, but versus $3,500 total the year before. So we're kind of on par with that. But Liz, like you, I'm trying to just have less stuff, right? I just want to spend my money on experiences. I want to spend a lot less on stuff and material things. And so the less I can purchase from Amazon, the better from my perspective. And then the other one is Target, along the same thing. And most of the Target spend is Crystal. There are some groceries that are in our Target spend. I don't split those out. But again, there's a lot of stuff for the kids in Target. But again, everything excluding groceries, everything coming home from Target is stuff. And so just trying to limit both the Amazon and the Target spends is kind of a goal of ours. And on the vacation thing, I am definitely consciously trying to spend more on vacations. So, we got the Universal trip booked. That was $3,500 that we're going to spend on 5 days at Universal. We splurged for the express passes, which I'm super proud of.
Is $3,500 your tickets or everything?
That's everything. Yeah.
So that's like very affordable for.
5 days at Universal for 4 people, including a hotel and pat. I mean, it's not cheap. It's not cheap for 5 days, but
that's actually like super. Okay. I mean, people spend like way more taking
like $10,000 probably to go to Disney. Yeah, or something.
So I mean, that's right. Like to me
that makes me feel better. Good.
That costs less than renting a house at the beach during spring break.
Yeah.
Will you drive there?
Yeah, we're gonna drive. Yeah, it's 7 hours and so my goal is to try and book a vacation for Thanksgiving and book a vacation for Christmas as well. So I'm trying to do that. So hopefully that'll show up in the second half. But that's my goal for
$22,000 budget if you want to beat us. So keep working on it. You're going to need to do better than that Universal trip.
Andrew, I feel like me and Maggie are being a really good influence on you.
Yes, I agree with that.
You're going you're spending money on stuff you don't need.
You're using Monarch.
Oh
yeah. We're gonna get Crystal's coffee budget from 37 to like 57 for the second half of the year. Wild.
And then I'm super excited about my PEX pipes for the second half of the year as well. Right. So that'll be great.
Yeah. Oh, I think they've recently even upgraded the pipes too.
That's what the
2.0. So you're really going to love these. And then you're probably going to want to redo the first half.
And also there's a new feature you can pay more for where when Crystal's shower goes too long, it actually just it turns to cold water. That'll get her out of there fast, Okay. We're going to ruin Andrew's life relationship. I will say, I know we Liz and I both joke a lot about like influencing Andrew to spend more. We would never do it if Andrew was like in debt and didn't have, Andrew is in a, very nice position where he can afford this. And so we're encouraging him to really like die with zero.
Embrace the die with zero. Yes.
Embrace the die with zero and enjoy your, like sometimes we talk about this a lot. You get especially in the early retirement space, like you get so frugal, it is hard to change your ways and actually like spend your money and enjoy your life in ways that are like convenience driven. Like you got a yard service, Andrew, right? How's that
Yes.
going?
Oh yeah. I didn't talk about that. Yeah. I got a yard service, $70 every 2 weeks. That's been great. So, our yard spend was, hold on, where's lawn and garden here? $630 for the first half.
And you feel like money well spent.
Yeah. Money well spent. Yeah. So
you picked the right summer, given that it was 96 degrees in early June this summer. So,
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Andrew?
Nope. That's it.
Okay. I've got some thoughts.
You want to start?
No, I feel like you should start. I talk too much.
Well, I don't think
read my notes.
you're the. Oh, was I going to? Yeah, I was just going to say you're the host. You're the main host, so you've earned the right to talk the most. So,
sweet, babe.
But no, I feel pretty good about it. It was a little bit of sticker shock when I looked back at the travel spend, but again, I don't regret it. I think it's where we have said for years we want to be our category where we spend more. So I feel good about it. It was still just a little like, wow, that's a lot. But, overall, I feel okay about spending. I do want to be a little more cognizant of our spending in some areas like restaurants. And, I think we got a little loose there. And it would be one thing if we were really enjoying it, but it's just we get a little bit lazy about not wanting to cook. And then it's takeout food that's not as good for us and that don't really feel like, oh, that was so incredible. I'm really glad I spent 3 times as much money and had 3 times as many calories. So, I want to focus a little bit on that and, eating out when it's a meaningful time to eat out, not eating out just because it's convenient. So I think those are a couple of the things that I'm, want to look at. But
yeah, it's interesting you focus on eating out. By the way, we're in a unique position where we're both here. It would be interesting to like hear from your partners, like what they would call out, next time.
Yeah, Crystal would probably call out some things. Yeah.
Well, what would she want to spend more?
Probably maybe on the takeout in the restaurants. Okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, open it up, dude. Yeah. Happy wife, happy life. Okay, so I would not have gone to the like eating out because it's a little bit higher than last year, but to me that's not. I had sticker shock too. I was like, ooh, that's a little high. I've said a million times lately, I'm like, we're definitely spending more in early retirement than we were spending when we were working. Like we were working, we were busy. Andrew, you and I were just talking about this, but like when you're, 70 and retiring, it's a lot different than when you're like our age retiring and you've got 3 kids that are more and more teenagers and like want more stuff and do a lot. And so, we're spending more. I'm generally okay with it. But similar to what you said, Greg, like I just want some things to be more intentional. So I would look at, I've been spending too much money on like stuff and clothing and like things that I just don't think are bringing like lasting happiness to me. And it's funny you guys both mentioned Amazon. I have mixed feelings about Amazon in general, but a number of times in the last few months, I've been like, oh my God, I love Amazon. Like the convenience of my kids needing something and telling me about it like a day before something's going on.
The night before they go to camp, they don't have the digital camera they need.
Yeah. And it's like they had a plan and like, so it's just all these things. And I'm like, it is really nice that it's like, that camp was a real thing. And I'm like, oh, this camera will be here between 2 and 6 tomorrow. And there's a lot of things like for the kids and then also for me where I've just waited until something and I got so annoyed at these like we had these like gnats in our house, particularly when we got back from vacation and
fruit flies,
thank you. And I was like so tired. I'll be in bed and it's like at night and I'm like, something's like flying up my eye. I got so mad. And Greg like walked off for a second and I'm like, just ordered something. It'll be here between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. tomorrow. And they've been amazing. I'll put a link in the show notes. They're these safe light, like UV things. And it's a little sticky pad. They're awesome. And they kind of look like really cool night lights actually. So they're great. And they were here the next morning. I was so angry at the fruit flies and they're now gone. like gone within 24
Yeah.
hours, gone. The best like $25 I ever spent. And so I just like lately have been in this like enamored with Amazon that I'm like, wait a minute, this thing can be here tomorrow. Like, come on. And so I have mixed, I struggle because I'm like sort of at a convenience point in my life where that I'm prioritizing that over some other things about the impact on the environment and a bunch of other stuff and wanting to support local business and other things. But that being said, Greg, you just pulled up how much money have we spent on Amazon in the first half of the year?
It's about 2,300 almost.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I couldn't, like, I think I was sort of like eyeballing some of those things and I was like, yeah, I could, so to me, I need to be more intentional. Like, I'm okay with the spend. I'm okay with the Australia spend. Even that we could have eaten out less and we could have like given the kids a budget and had them help prioritize some stuff. We just got a little like loose and in vacation mode, but I just want to be more intentional about some things. And I also feel a little bit better because Andrew and I recently had a discussion that you'll hear next week, I think, about the CAPE ratio and SOAR. What does SOAR stand for again, Andrew?
Sequence of returns risk.
Right. That. And I feel a little bit better about our spending level as a result of that, like in early retirement. And we're still below the drawdown number we need to be at for this to be a sustainable lifestyle for us. And so all of that I feel okay about. Like, we're not going to run out of money, but I want to feel good that things are intentional and like where I want them to be. And I'm like, I'd grade myself like a C or a B plus this past half of the year on that.
It's a big from C to B plus.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, a C or a B minus.
B minus. I was gonna say that.
And so I'm going to take that energy into the second half of the year. I've already been, I think the other day I said something to you and I was like, I'm not going to buy, I need to quit buying stuff. Within 5 minutes, I bought 8 pairs of Gooder sunglasses for like a girl's trip and was like, God, I'm crap at this.
Well, I think it's really interesting. Maggie, you and Greg have really documented your journey. And I feel like I want this to come out the wrong way, ping pong back and forth between like, oh my gosh, I'm spending too much money. I'm getting out of control. I need to rein it in. And then back to like, die with zero, baby.
Die with zero.
YOLO. And it's really hard. I think that's a really common experience. I feel like I go back and forth between those two modes many times a day.
Mr. Money Mustache to die with zero. That's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's really common. It's really relatable. And it's like, you go, I don't know. Again, I'm like wondering what this thousands of dollars like next medical bill I'm going to get is. And then literally last night I was like, should I pay $3 more for my DoorDash to get to me 4 minutes sooner? And I sat there and debated.
Wait, is that a thing? I've never ordered off the DoorDash.
Pay for like a speedier delivery. Same with Uber.
Okay. Never done either of those.
Andrew.
Yeah. I didn't used to be a DoorDash person, and lately life gets hard and you're like, actually it would be so nice if someone showed up to my house with some sushi.
Yeah. That's why I draw the line at DoorDash, but also if I ask Greg to go pick something up, he'll pick it up. So we've got like a built-in Greg Dash. Greg Dash is much more affordable. Liz, I think you're right. Just that like yo-yoing is normal. It's some level of balance, right? Like I'm not always in a spendy mode and I'm not always in a super frugal mode. I ebb and flow, which is very normal cycles of life. So I would like second half of year to be the cycle of we rein it in a little bit, but on intentional stuff.
Yeah. And I love the word intentional. And we've both said that, I think, different times, but I think that's the spending I regret, is the spending where I've just gotten loose and it's not intentional and it's not really adding value. When you spend more and it's intentional and you get value out of it, I think that's helpful. And Liz, you've done a great job talking about, I spend more on my food, but that brings me a lot of happiness and that's great, and so I get frustrated when I'm like, I just ordered, I went out and ate because it was just a little bit easier and it was like,
and I wasn't even happy.
Yeah. And that's where I'm like, that's where I want to do better. And at the end of the day, it probably won't be that much money saved, but at least I can feel like I'm spending in line with, I don't know, intentionality, for lack of a better word.
I like it.
Yeah.
Greg's always so wise.
Yes.
I just don't say much. So occasionally I say something that sounds I don't know. You're
wise.
I read it on the back of a.
You should just take the compliment,
Well,
he's
you.
Wise and humble and handsome. And he's good at Monarch. Okay, we got to go now, guys.
Yep.
So that was a good discussion. I enjoyed hearing what everybody spent. For those who were like, where's Erica? She's going to join the next one. I think we said that last time, but we had like a scheduling conflict and we wanted to like knock this out. And we will have her at our full year 2024 review. So we'll see where I'm actually super curious.
And
where
they're
they
tracking?
land. They're tracking. They've been
Wow.
using Monarch,
Nice.
her and the landlord. And yeah, I'm like, I have no idea where they land.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see.
She's out running up that bill right now, right? She's on vacation.
Yeah, she is on vacation. Yep, exactly. Running up that bill. Yeah, we'll see if she's a winner or loser and who is really, yeah.
Everyone's a winner.
Okay, well, thank you guys. We appreciate all of you listening. I know your time is limited and valuable. We always appreciate you spending some of it with us. If you have enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more expense reviews, leave us a 5-star written review on Apple Podcast. We always love it. You can also leave us a rating on Spotify. We really, really appreciate it.
We also encourage you to share this episode with a friend or a family member or even someone you don't like, just anybody, to encourage ongoing discussions about money.
We'll take anybody.
Some
Warm-
random
yeah,
person
warm
on the
body.
street.
Yeah. Just yell at them inside out money as you drive by.
You can also subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts to see if you have thoughts or questions. We'd love to hear from you, and you can leave a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370 or hit us up on Instagram.
Yeah, Liz is at Liz Gets Loaded. We're at Inside Out Money. Andrew's at some other Andrew something, but I don't think you're encouraging people to. Do you want people to follow you, Andrew?
People can find me on Instagram. I gotta remember what my handle is. It's Andrew.
I tag you every now and then. It's like Andrew K something.
Yeah,
somebody.
hold on.
I should put a link in the show notes. So if you want to find Andrew
know
on
that,
Instagram.
right? Hold on.
If you want to see
It's,
pictures
a little
of
bit-
Andrew wearing spandex, it's
Yeah,
a solid
there's a lot
follow.
of bike stuff up there.
There's a lot of cycling spandex photos. Let's explain why he's wearing spandex for people that may not know Andrew.
It's Andrew J
Trying to sell
Knight
it.
77 on Instagram. Yeah, that's where you can find
Did you
me.
have to look it up? Did you not know your Instagram
Yeah, I
handle?
I forget what it
That's
was.
adorable.
Yeah,
He's got many Instagram handles. He wasn't sure which one.
which one I
Was
want to
his public
disclose here.
profile.
He's like, oh, Andrew gets hammered.
Andrew, no offense to your
Andrew lays pipe.
Andrew lays Peck's pipe. Andrew's like out. Okay, on that note, Greg, so inappropriate. No, what I was going to say is Andrew, as much as like Andrew and his spandex account of like all his cycling, your wife is way more fun to follow on Instagram.
Yes, my
because
wife.
she has her cake account and they're like amazingly beautiful. I mean, they look like something off of a TV show. And yeah, and she should spend more money on coffee because of that.
Yeah, I'll let her know that.
Okay, we're going in. I don't know what's happening, but I'm enjoying this. Well, thank you guys, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Okay.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
We go